Hello, in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make a sort of boingy feathered Gerber daisy type of flower. So for this you're going to want a couple different colors of paper. Colored paper works great because then the flower looks really bright and colorful, but if you don't have colored paper of any kind at all, you can also use wrapping paper. That would be really funky and different for your flower. You could also use plain white paper and leave it white. There are plenty of flowers in this world that are white, so that is totally fine. You can also add color to the white paper before you work with it using crayons, colored pencils, markers, paint, watercolor, whatever you want. In order to do this, you're going to need a pencil, scissors, and some sort of adhesive, glue, tape, whatever you have. If you do use tape, I recommend not using the masking tape, but maybe Scotch tape, something that's clear and transparent so that you don't have to worry about things showing up. So let's get started. First, we're going to need two circle shapes that are going to be the center of our flower. Now, if you have something you can use to trace with, use that to trace a circle shape. But if you don't have something, you can always just draw it freehand also. So I'm drawing this kind of nice big circle shape. If you don't feel confident drawing that way, like I said, find something that's circle shaped that you can draw, trace with. And in order to make sure that my circle shape is the same on both sides for both of mine, I'm going to cut one out first because I did this by hand. So I don't have a stencil for this to make sure that the second one's the same. So what I'm going to do is cut this one out, use this as my stencil to trace. Whoop, you get a little pencil on it, no big deal. And now I have another one that's the same exact size and shape, and that will help prevent me from having an issue later where I have two circles that are different sizes. So this way I can keep them all together, same size, no worries at all about things not working out together. So I am going to cut that one out. And if you have any pencil marks still showing up on there, don't worry about it because you can flip them over and use the clear, nice side as your surface space. So these are my centers. This is going to be the bottom and this is going to be the top, and all the petals are going to go in between. I'm going to show you how that works in just a second. I'm going to take a piece of paper, and this is a pretty big piece, a little bigger than what I want to work with, so I'm actually going to fold it in half. And I'm going to cut it in half because I just think it's a little bit large for the kind of petals that I want. Obviously you can make yours how big or small that you would like them to be. And I'm going to fold it in half again. So with the two shorter ends, I'm going to fold together, crease it. And now with it folded together, this is how you can sort of see how long this is going to be. So if I use this whole length, that's going to be really, really long. I'm probably going to want about half of it. So this is going to be actually good for what I want to do. So I'm folding this in half again. And I'm going to open it up. Cut it one more time because I want them to be a little bit shorter even. And I think this is as good as it's going to get. So now I'm going to take my rectangle piece and I'm going to start cutting strips. They can be as wide or as skinny as you want. It is up to you. It is okay if they're not 100% perfect. I can tell already that mine are not being cut perfectly straight, and that's okay with me. I'm not upset about it. It's going to work out just fine at the end, so you're not even going to notice that they're not perfect unless you, I guess, make them really crazy and I kind of cut all over the place. Then we're going to have a little bit of an issue maybe, but if you're mostly trying to stay straight, then you're fine. You do not need to get a ruler out and draw perfect. That's okay. All right, so I have all my little strips. I might need to cut more. That's why I have these extra pieces sticking around. And I'm gonna get ready to go. So like I said, you can do this with tape. So you can put a piece of tape down when you put these down to tape them down. You can use liquid glue, which is gonna take a little longer to dry, but you can do that. Or glue stick, my personal favorite. Old Faithful, love my glue stick. So I'm gonna take my glue stick and I'm gonna put some glue right around the outside edge of the circle. I'm probably gonna have to reapply, so I'm gonna keep that out. And I'm gonna put a bunch of these sticking straight out. Now, trust me, they're not gonna stay like this. This is how I'm starting. Okay, so I'm putting these first little bits down. I'm gonna go all the way around. And I might add more in between, but for now I'm just gonna do this first set. Now this looks huge. Do you see why I kept cutting the paper down? Because it's just going to get real big real fast. All right, and if I leave it like this, it's fine, but I feel like my flower is going to be a little bit sparse and empty, because what we're going to do is we're going to end up flipping this part up and creating these little like curly cute bow shapes. But I'm not ready to do that yet. I want to make sure I fill this out as much as I want. So I'm going to add a tiny bit more glue, especially to the in-between parts, because what I want to do is fill this in, fill in these gaps. I'm going to put more strips in between, because I just think it would look a little bit better if it was a little bit fuller. So I'm going to add a little bit more to the in-between part. And again, you could be doing this with, you could be putting them all down and then putting a nice big piece of tape on top. So if you want to do it the tape way, you can totally do that. You can use liquid glue, do the same thing. Look at that, I have one left over. I almost made a perfect amount. This is great. And don't worry about how this looks. This is going to get covered up by our other center later, so it's going to look beautiful. Now, I guess I could leave it like this. This is insane. It's a really big flower. That would be pretty cool if you want to do that. But I'm going to kind of make this a little three-dimensional so it's not so flat and boring. So now what I'm going to do is, once again, put a little bit more glue down. I'm going to keep adding glue and keep reapplying. And now I'm going to take this part, I'm going to fold it over. I'm not going to crease it. I'm just going to fold it over and push it down. I'm going to skip this one for now, just like I did the first time when I went around. And the reason why is I'm not going to have room to do it right now. I'm going to have to add more glue again. So I'm going to skip. So every other one, so I'm creating sort of a pattern here. Loop, straight, loop, straight, loop, straight, loop, straight. I'm going to keep on going in sort of my pattern shape here. And what we're going to end up with is this beautiful 3D popping up paper flower. And now I'm ready to do these next ones. So again, I'm going to need a little bit more. This part's going to be a little tricky because I have these little loops that I don't want to bend or crease. So I'm going to try really hard to get it in there. This part might be easier to do with something like liquid glue, but that's okay. I'm going to dab that in there. If you're finding you're not having, like this doesn't seem to want to stick. I don't know if I have enough liquid glue or glue down there. So if you don't think you have enough glue, just take a second. This guy doesn't want to stay. Put a little bit more in there. Keep going. Just keep going. And if they do get a little squished or flattened out, it's not the end of the world. They're still going to look really cool. Still going to look real awesome. You're going to have people asking you, how on earth did you make that? That's awesome. And you're going to say, well, it's my little secret. I'm just amazing. So I'm going to keep on going until I get all of my pieces in. Keep on reapplying. Keep going. And now I'm back to the end, and this is a really full looking flower, but this is pretty ugly inside. So the last thing is to add our center, which I'm gonna add by doing one last piece of glue. Lots of glue involved in this process. And I'm gonna take my center, and if you think it's just too big, you could always cut it down a little bit smaller. I'm okay with it being too big because I'm just gonna push it in and kind of flatten it out. And here I have my beautiful Gerber Daisy-ish flower. And actually it works well on both sides. Both sides look identical. And this is another type of flower that you can make completely out of paper that has a beautiful 3D effect. If I want to add some texture, I could add glitter to this. I could add dots to make it look like the center of a flower. You know how some have those little dots. You can add some details to it after the fact, after you've made the whole thing. That just gives it a little something extra special. All right, so have fun making your bright, puffy Gerber Daisy type of flowers, and I can't wait to see them.